They didn't come to Spa just to race. They came to make a statement. Because while the championship math might suggest that the fight has already slipped away, someone in Maranello still believes in a different ending. And the car they've just rolled into Belgium with? It's not just updated, it's reborn. This is not a weekend of damage control. It's a gamble for the future. After weeks of discontent, questions, and disappointing Sundays, Ferrari is making its boldest play yet. And it all begins here, in the forests of Spa-Francorchamps, where a season could pivot or crumble in a single session. The SF-25 has been a riddle, fast in flashes but plagued by inconsistency. Complaints from Hamilton, restlessness from Leclerc, a car that seems allergic to stability. But now that frustration is turning into purpose. Ferrari's engineers have emerged from the silence with not one, but two major upgrades, each designed not just to fix the car, but to redefine how it behaves. First, the rear suspension. A full structural rework. This isn't cosmetic. It's the architecture of how the SF-25 transfers energy, how it grips, how it breathes on the edge. The top wishbone has been re-anchored to a new location on the gearbox, a subtle shift with profound consequences. This change isn't just about stiffness, it's about control, about building a platform that resists chaos when pushed to its limits. In theory, it gives the car something it hasn't had all year: predictability. Hamilton and Leclerc have both fought the rear of this car through medium-speed corners, zones where you can't just plant the throttle and pray. With the revised suspension, they should now get a more cooperative response, less snap, more balance, and fewer mid-corner corrections that scrub precious tire life. And that's just the beginning. Because Spa isn't any ordinary circuit. This place is a stress test. High speeds, sudden compression zones, corners like Eau Rouge and Pouron that ask everything from your chassis and punish even the smallest instability. If your car can't hold its shape through the sweepers here, the stopwatch will expose you. That's why Ferrari didn't stop at the suspension. They've also debuted a new rear wing, one that many expected wouldn't arrive until Monza. Low drag, high-speed focused, and completely reprofiled for efficiency. This isn't just a trimmed-down version of the old package. It's been purpose-built. A redesigned main plane. End plates sculpted to reduce resistance, slot gaps optimized to hold flow stability even as downforce levels drop. This wing isn't just about topping the speed traps, it's about striking a balance, trimming drag on the straights without sacrificing grip through Sector 2's long sweeping arcs. And more importantly, it's designed to work in harmony with the new suspension, forming an aerodynamic platform that remains stable even under extreme loads. That's where the magic could happen. When you pair a calmer mechanical base with a more forgiving aero surface, something subtle begins to change. The car no longer fights the driver, and that changes everything. Braking, throttle application, confidence mid-corner. With reduced rear-end instability, both drivers can begin pushing with more freedom, especially into Spa's most punishing corners. But there's a deeper reason why this matters. Because this weekend isn't just about Spa, it's a rehearsal for something bigger. Everything Ferrari learns here, every data point, every driver debrief, every sensor reading will directly shape the car being developed for 2026. This is the proving ground for Project 678, their next-generation machine. That's why these upgrades aren't being treated as a last-ditch fix. They're a calibration tool, a chance to finally sync the simulation room with reality. And Ferrari needs that clarity more than ever, because for all their heritage, their horsepower, and their passionate tifosi, the truth is brutal.
They haven't built a championship-winning car in over a decade. And now, with a 7-time world champion in red, the pressure to get it right has never been heavier. But Spa will not hand them anything. It's the longest circuit on the calendar, with some of the most punishing corner combinations in modern F1. Precision matters here. And more than that, confidence matters. If the driver doesn't trust the rear, if the car shifts unpredictably through Radillon or compresses erratically into Blanchimont, then lap time vanishes, along with hope. That's why this weekend is critical, because these upgrades, if they work, could mark the first time all year that Hamilton has a car underneath him that answers back, that gives him the tools to attack, to break deep, to rotate on throttle without second-guessing the rear. And for Leclerc, who's been forced to drive around flaws all season, this could be the reset he's been begging for. But Ferrari isn't just chasing lap time. They're chasing psychological ground. This car has been fragile under pressure. Tires overheating, rear grip disappearing in long stints, the kind of issues that destroy strategy flexibility and make wheel-to-wheel racing a gamble. But the new setup, especially with the revised suspension geometry, aims to calm those fluctuations. Less rear tire scrubbing, lower peak temperatures, a car that degrades more predictably, not more quickly. That opens up options, undercuts, overcuts, more aggressive stints on softer compounds, the kind of tactical flexibility they haven't been able to access for most of the season. Even under braking, gains could be unlocked. Anti-lift properties in the new suspension design aim to reduce pitch under deceleration, especially in Spa's critical heavy braking zones like the bus stop chicane. That reduction in forward dive helps maintain rear stability, keeping the car neutral and preventing those small moments of front-end overload that can send a lap spiraling. And that's what Hamilton in particular has struggled with. Braking instability, missed apexes, a car that resists rather than respond. If this change gives him back that sense of connection on entry, the ability to trail brake without consequence, then Ferrari might finally be giving their star driver the confidence he's lacked since joining the team. And yet, all of this, the suspension, the wing, the geometry tweaks, is still only half the story. Because beneath the carbon fiber and CFD models, there's something deeper happening at Ferrari. Something human, something political. For months, this team has been walking a tightrope between two elite drivers, between two visions of the future, and between the weight of its history and the reality of modern F1. Charles Leclerc, the homegrown star, has grown impatient. His frustrations haven't always been public, but they've been there. In the clipped radio messages, in the strategic second-guessing, and in his desperate efforts to muscle the SF-25 into competitiveness. He's not just fighting lap times, he's fighting to remain the soul of a team now sharing its spotlight with a global icon. And Lewis Hamilton? He didn't come to Maranello to retire quietly. He came to win, to lead, to leave a legacy in red. But to do that, he needs more than ceremonial respect. He needs a machine that listens to his inputs and amplifies his genius, not dulls it. This weekend is where that tension gets tested. Because if these upgrades work, it's not just a technical breakthrough, it's a statement that Ferrari is listening, that the voices of their drivers are being translated into solutions, that the internal war between potential and execution might finally be tipping in favor of the latter. But Spa will offer no kindness. If the car falters here, if the rear still dances under load, if the tire temps still spike, if the aero platform still buckles through Eau Rouge, then it won't be a quiet failure. It'll be obvious, brutal, and worse, it'll suggest that Ferrari's direction heading into 2026 may be flawed at its core. That's why every lap matters, not for points, but for belief. Back in Maranello, engineers will be live monitoring every telemetry stream, comparing what the drivers feel with what the numbers show, overlaying Spa's brutal real-world data with hundreds of hours of wind tunnel and simulation testing. It's not just about finding out if this weekend's car is fast. It's about confirming whether the next car even has a future. That's what makes this so pivotal. Because if Hamilton climbs out of the cockpit on Sunday and says, "I felt connected to the car," that will mean more than a podium. It'll mean alignment between driver and machine, between factory and philosophy. And if Leclerc finds a rhythm through Blanchiment that hasn't existed all year, if he's finally able to throw the car in with commitment and trust it'll stick, then you're witnessing something far rarer than raw speed. You're witnessing belief coming back to life. And that's what Ferrari needs.